All right, so how many of you want to learn how to develop for Google Glass? That's not what the website said, so I didn't make that presentation. How many of you know HTML5, though? Good news. You can develop for Google Glass. It's awesome. All right, so my opinions on Glass are often very misconceived. I hate it and I like it, and that's okay. I have the ability to do both of those. So the title of the presentation on the website was Google Glass, what the fuck? And that's kind of how I feel about it. Because in the beginning, and this is really strange, it all started so beautifully. It was amazing. Do you guys remember when they launched Google Glass? It was pretty incredible. They were like hot models with technology on their face. And I was just like, this is the future I planned. Also in the future, I was like, your ruler. It was very draconian. And that's like, it just keeps getting better. Like, my future dog would have Google Glass. And I was like, this does not look ridiculous at all. This looks awesome. And then I saw this.
Oh man, really? Hey there, guy. Hey there, little guy. Sweet. Remind me to buy tickets for Monsieur Gano tonight. Where's the music section? Oh, yes, this is it. Is Paul here yet? Huh. Hey, dude, how's it going?
Want to go check out that new place I was telling you about?
Sure.
This crap's really good.
Hey, just a second. Cool.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, man.
Got a new place now. City.
See you, dude. Whoa, cool. Take a photo of this. Share it to my circles. Oh, I'm running late. Music, stop.
Hi, what's up?
Hey,
Hey.
you want to say something cool?
Yeah, sure. Is that a ukulele?
Yep. Okay, here goes.
That's beautiful.
It was beautiful. And then this happened. Because that whole video, I was just trying to figure things out. And I was like, what the fuck? How is that interface in front of his face? Because that requires stereo optics, and that's not actually possible from what I'd seen of the pictures of the thing. It was over your eye. And then I was like, wait a second. How did he answer this guy when he had a sandwich in his hands? He didn't swipe. He didn't say anything. He's like, yeah, here's a message. Send it. And then I remembered this is a vision video, and I was like, okay, that's okay. I can let him there. You know, there is a way to do it. It's this guy. So what you could do is you could have somebody pop your eyeball out and do your optic nerve. In the future, people will definitely be doing this with small children. And if your child doesn't have like a stereo optic eye that can broadcast information like that, then they're not going to be able to get a job at McDonald's. And then all those models came to mind, and I was like, oh, I got to go back out and check out what's going on with Glass. And there was like this guy. And then this guy who's having some sort of aneurysm or something, or massaging his temple. And then there was this guy, right? Don't worry, it's not all comedy and fun. We'll get serious in a minute, but you have to understand this history. But then I tried Google Glass, right? And I realized that this guy should look like this. That's what the purpose was, right? So there's like, you can shop for bathroom tile or manscaping or whatever on there. And I thought, well, that's not as useful as I thought it'd be. So I thought, what the fuck, glass holes? And then this video came out.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
This is it?
You notice that interface moved way up into the upper right-hand corner.
Hang out with the Flying Club.
Google photos of tiger heads.
You ready? You ready?
Right there. Okay, Glass, take a picture.
That is awesome.
Okay, Glass, record a video!
After this bridge, first exit.
Cool. Stay delicious and time. Alroy.
Google jellyfish.
Let's see. It's beautiful.
Man, that beautiful thing came back. But there's only one problem with that, aside from it's another vision video. So like when the lady's walking down the stairs, a guy's voice is like, "We're on in 5 minutes." But the thing is all I could think about was the year 2001. And I know there's a couple of people I know personally who are old enough to remember this in this room. But the thing about understanding Google Glass and understanding its impact and what you have to do with it and can do with it is to understand kind of where we've been. And in 2001, I just left IBM right before they came out with this masterpiece.
Give me soybeans. Yeah. Scroll up. Buy it. Buy. Next page. Close that. All right, beautiful. Sell it. All right, highlight 4. Scroll up. Up.
The voice-activated wearable computer.
Buy it. Yeah, baby.
It's not just wireless.
Hi, Donna. Oh, yeah, the meeting was fine.
It's wireless e-business.
And then I started worrying about what happened when all of you had glass and we were on a plane together. And I murdered one of you in cold blood for buying stocks. And I thought, but wait, I saw this before that even, because when I was at IBM, the project that inspired that was a project that was done in 1997. 1992, which was this guy.
Thad Starner. This MIT graduate student has been wearing his computer in his glasses for the past 5 years. With his handheld keyboard, he is a walking website.
And he says the greatest nerd thing ever here in about 5 seconds.
Actually logged into about 100 other minds right now that are sitting on the net.
To demonstrate how easily he can access information, Starner gave us a challenge. Ask him anything about anything. Baseball stats. How about that?
Here's the pitch to Mantle. There's a drive going deep to left center field.
Give me the lifetime average and number of home runs, doubles, singles, and triples of Mickey Mantle.
How do you spell Mantle?
Mantle.
If he would have had Google, he wouldn't have to spell it right.
Wow. Getting a lot of hits on that.
So did he.
Career statistics, here we go. Wow. Whoa. Doubles, triples, and home runs. Doubles is 344. Triples is 72. Home runs is 536. Runs bat in is 1509.
I'm impressed.
Average is
I'm
0.298.
impressed. Okay, all right.
All right, so then after thinking about that all, I ask, okay, Glass,
What would you say you do here?
and I asked that to Google, which is why I'm like constantly have Glass available to develop on, but not really to keep with me anywhere. They're just like, oh, sorry, Whurley, we'll need that one back. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem, project's done. But the thing is what does Glass do? And then I realized that it doesn't matter. It's not important. And you're thinking, Whurley, what the fuck? Why isn't that important? And the answer is this. Glass is not what the people in this room should be thinking about at all. What you should be thinking about is this future that we see in Iron Man and Minority Report, and this future, which is, questionable. There's a lot of videos about Glass about this, where somebody's sitting there and they're dating somebody and they're like, Google this person, and they're like working it all in, and those are funny, but those are not as poignant to the story, so they're a little bit of a waste of time. This is why Google Glass is important. Google Glass is important not for the money that you can make on it, but for the money that you could make developing for a bunch of other things that will follow it. Google Glass will most likely be yet another project Google kills in the future. There's a lot of reasons for that. But here's the difference between the guy, Tad, in 1992 through 1997 or 99, where eventually he was just ostracized out of every community for wearing his computer on his face, and the IBM commercial, and the hundreds, I kid you not, of other things that have a prism above your eye with the plug in your ear with the speaker that you can talk to, that have been around forever. The difference is money. The difference is the amount of money Google is pumping into this, and the difference in that is that once a company like Google invests that heavily in what is, and it's not much more, but it's the greatest tech PR marketing campaign in history, okay? They change not the perception of the public, because that's why if you read the news, bars have banned Google Glass, the TSA's ban them, Congress wants to know about privacy. Right now, the Google execs are in London, where I just got back from, and they're there because the entire EU wants to know what the privacy concerns are, right? It's not because of all of that. It's because the people they influence are investors in people like you and I. The people they influence are people that, where if you would have taken this, and I know some guys who did, the name of the company is Athier, and you should go check them out. 10 years ago, they went and talked about this idea with VCs, and it was retarded. They were like, no way, stupid. Wearing a computer on your face, not going to do it. Right now, Kleiner Perkins just made a special fund just for Glass developers. And just so you know, that's just like when they made a special fund for iOS developers, and I still believe that is a horrible funding model. But this is what they're hoping happens, right? Is that eventually all of you want this. Now, how many of you would wear Glass right now? If I had it, how many would you try it right now? Come on, it's almost all of you, right? How many of you, if I said, here's a condition, you can try it, but you have to wear it for 72 hours. Everywhere you go, you can't take it off. How many of you would do that? Still a big amount. I bet you couldn't make it 72 hours. And I'll tell you why. Because in general, the interface, which you see everybody wearing it kind of in front of their eye, is super bad for your vision, right? Go see your optometrist. This is not cool. I worked on a project in the 90s at Apple, and on that project, we worked with an optometrist, and he was like, here's the deal. Just take something and just bring it in and bring it in and bring it in. You can't really focus on it. Now, the Glass, to its credit, is focused to infinity, and it looks great. The only problem is I don't have that stuff I was promised in the first video, and I don't really have that stuff because it's kind of bigger than it is in reality in the second video. What I have is I have like a number 62 because it's a temperature. And a lot of people that I've seen use it can't really read the menu items very well. And that's okay, because the voice navigation on it works phenomenally well. Phenomenally well. They did an amazing job on that. The interface is, kind of questionable. And there's about 8 or 10 other competitors that are all launching in the next year. Glass is probably not launching in mass in the next 6 months. So there's a mad rush for this market. Okay. And again, Glass doesn't matter. The marketing does. And so this is important because we set up, as Todd put in the website, a thing called Glass Dev Camp. So why would I set up Glass Dev Camp after all the shit I just talked about glass? I'll tell you why. Because I don't care about glass as much as I do caring about what happened when we did iPhone Dev Camp, back before any of you had smartphones, and there were no apps, and there was nothing available. There was a huge opportunity in the fact that Apple was about to introduce a phone, and even though they said there was no SDK and all, everybody saw this app economy or whatever buzzword you want to use coming, right, from 100 miles away. It was important that Apple was doing it because unlike everybody else, Apple had something that everybody else didn't, which is they had lots of money to throw at it from the iPod and all the money they'd made on iTunes, and they had lots of cool factor to throw at it, and they had lots of really great development resources to throw at it, right? And so they had kind of this trifecta of what needed to go and get it into the market and then see what happened. And Google's kind of following that same exact path. If you look at, Apple didn't have, really focus groups for the technology. I mean, Google does, but about the same way that Apple did, right? They're not going to invite 400 of you in a room and talk to you about glass and have you do it. They'll invite the developers, they'll do it, but they're kind of following the same kind of trajectory, okay? And it's a fairly linear trajectory. So acquired technology from other resources, made it look cooler, found out it didn't work that well, adjusted it for working, went and acquired a couple other companies to work on the project. It's kind of following the same thing. So the reason that glass is important, the reason glass is important to web developers and mobile developers and everyone is that you need to be thinking about these completely new interface paradigms. Not necessarily on glass, but you need to be thinking about, all the wearable computers, the Thermatic Labs stuff. You guys seen Thermatic Labs? It's awesome. They have an armband you wear, and it connects Bluetooth to your quadricopter or your computer or whatever, and you just snap to switch pages and move it up. And honestly, if it was thinner and could go under your shirt, I think it's a lot cooler than glass. All right? But you've got Thermatic Labs, you've got Athier, you've got, the Viso guys have like 85 pairs of stereoscopic glasses, and they're on the same path. So this is going to be a new development paradigm, and it's going to be a new app paradigm. But the problem is going to be that it's going to be cheaper than the other apps. So when apps first came out on the phone, they're about 99 cents, and now people charge more and give them away for free and monetize them different ways. But a lot of development effort went into something you're going to try to sell for 99 cents and make your money back. That's just fact, right? We built a really successful business on it, but that's because we're the most expensive company on the planet. And we don't care if you make your 99 cents back, right? We'll help you with that if you want to pay us to do that too. And that's a totally different approach. But as independent developers, as independent people who might work at a company need to develop for this, you could pour a lot of resource into making an app and making it well. This is going to be that even harder because you're limited on what you can do with the interfaces, because you're limited in the interactions, because you have to think about things you didn't have to think. With an app, I don't have to think about if I have my phone and I'm sitting here with you guys doing something. If you use Google Glass, you can tilt your head back. And what's funny is to see the tilt angle people set. Some people try to do it real short, and they go like this all the time. And it looks like they're having a tick. And some people try to wake it up. One of the best glass developers I know, he's got it set to this crazy angle. So he goes, so to turn it on, you just tilt your head. Like that. And every time I'm like, does that hurt your neck? I was like, that's way back. But think about it. So now you've got to interact with voice. So here's what I haven't seen. Well, I kind of saw it. I was just on this British Airways flight. They took 100 innovators and they flew us from San Francisco to London to solve global problems. And there were some people with glass on that flight. And then there was everybody else who hated the people with glass on that flight. And so what was funny to do is just walk by and go, okay, glass, take a picture. And poof, and the guy's like, hey. And I'm just like, well, I'm exploring interface problems. It's what I do. Or if they were talking, they're like, oh, I'll look that up. And you go, that's great. You should look that up, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, could you just be quiet for a second? Just give me a second. And I'm like, okay, glass. Google. Something. It was like, and so these interfaces aren't really tested. The great thing about your phone is, for the most part, you don't use Siri. I know that. and the few of you who do, don't tell us who you are, because that's embarrassing. But voice technologies work great when you're in the lab. They work great when you're at home. They work great in a million places. Don't work great at a nightclub. They don't work great in a noisy restaurant. They don't work great in a lot of places, which is okay because Google has another option, which is you can swipe. And this swiping confuses me because if I want to go backward in time, I feel like I should just swipe backwards. But that's not what you do. You swipe forward. So swiping forward takes you backward in time. And I know why they did it. It's like, it makes sense. It bugs the shit out of me. And it has these cards. So you saw in the video the cards. So the problem with the cards is there's no way to build an app for this yet. What you can do is you can build a card, like that contact card. And so you can make a contact card that has a function that calls some HTML and does some stuff. All right. And by the way, for all of the bullshit, it's just an Android phone in a glass. Okay. If you want to, without a phone. Right. Exactly. If you want to take it, excellent point. If I had a prize, he would have just gotten it. But you hook the glasses up to your computer and use your Android development kit, and you can blast it up on the screen and all of that. And you want to load an APK on it, no problem. You just sideload that sucker on there, right? I mean, so it's nice that it's like going to create this new design paradigm. It's really reducing the design paradigm you already have. All right. And so the thing with this swiping stuff is I can only do cards, so I can't really have an app. I can just swipe through a card that instead of your picture as a contact has a picture that I made that's that picture. And then the only way to get information in and out is I have to send it. So imagine if, as a developer, I told you that SMS was how you sent and received information. It's kind of the same, right? So I swipe through a card, I pull up my app, all right, and I take some information and I send it, and then it comes back to the app, all right? And that will change. That's why it's not out. It's called Google Glass Explorer for a reason. In fairness, again, I think they're doing more to advance wearable technology than anybody by pumping this much money into it. All right, but I want to pull some of the mysticism back because it's not really that new and it's not really that great. And that's great because that means you shouldn't be scared of it. It means you should totally see opportunity in it and other things, and you can actually work with the stuff, right? It's not a mystery. But like I said, on the plane, it was an awesome game to go by and harass the glass people. Or when they were in a conversation. I was trying to make a point about privacy. So we're at the G8, and there was a guy, and he's wearing his glass, and he's talking about how great it is. And I was like, it's super good, because say he's talking to you. Like, I forgot your name already, right? And he's like, oh, my name is, Harid, whatever. And I was like, okay, glass, Google Harid. And he was like, don't stop doing that. And I was like, he's pulling up all the information on you right now. And I was on a glass panel where a guy said, wouldn't it be great, and I want a show of hands, if you guys could wear glass and be at a conference like this and have everybody in the conference in there to where when you looked at them, it could do facial recognition, which it doesn't. All right. If it could do facial recognition and do it well, and it looked at you look at another person, pops it up, and there you are. You've got all the information for them. How many of you would love that feature? Right? Fuck you guys. If you can't remember my name, I don't want to talk to you. Right? I can Google you and be disingenuous and be like, oh, Bob, how's it going? How's the Google Next project? Oh, the new startup, that's going well? I saw the pictures of your kids on Facebook just now. Like, that's horrible social interaction. And so here comes the open discussion part in 2 minutes. But because I want you guys to be able to ask any question you want. Otherwise, this isn't valuable. I don't just want to preach to you. And we've saved plenty of time for that. But the deal is don't think about glass, because glass will probably be like 800 other Google projects. Will it get? I mean, everybody thinks it's going to be like the iPhone. Well, it's not. Hint: the iPhone, and they put it in the name. It's totally bizarre. Is a actual phone. The glass can connect to a phone and uses Bluetooth, which is probably the shittiest connection technology ever created. And if you've had any problem with, like, imagine instead of being in your car and be like, hey, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hey, because any of you do that happen when you connect it to your car? Because car technology sucks. Imagine now that you just move that from the car to your face everywhere you go. That's horrible. And again, I'm not trying to just be up here and slam it. I love it. We're developing a bunch of stuff for customers with it. We're running into challenges. We're letting Google know. They're resolving those challenges. It's a great, there's a lot of great stuff going on. But what what is upsetting and what needs to be pulled away is kind of the mystery and the this and the, oh my God, the privacy concerns. You're going to be able to walk around and know everything about everybody. And I just spoke to a congressman who asked me that same thing. And I said, well, wait a second. So I have a computer here on my phone. Let's Google you. Okay, there's a wiki page, there's this and that. And they're like, yeah, but you'll be able to access other information. And I'm like, what other information? Does Glass connect to like a secret NSA spy net? And then I thought, Prism, shit. Maybe it does. Maybe you'll have a special Glass edition. It'll be like, I know everything about everyone and can invade your privacy. But none of you have privacy anyway. I don't have privacy. You get your license number is public record. Your driver's license is public record. And where you live can be easily found out. So I don't know what you're worried about. And if you're taking those naughty pictures at home, nobody's judging. That's fine. Just don't put them on a computer or the internet. Like have a little flash drive or something. But we had this discussion of privacy, and it was very concerning because everybody seems to think that this magic technology is going to do something that it can't do. I'm working with 2 facial recognition projects for Glass right now. They're a disaster. Do you know how hard recognizing a face is with an interface? It's really just sending the information to your phone, which is then doing a bunch of stuff and then trying to send it back in this crazy mad loop of data flying back and forth. It's like, nope, that's wrong. Try again. That's wrong. Try again. It's just not. It is both wonderful and great, and also not that wonderful and not that great. And there just needs to be a reality about Glass. There just needs to be a level set. It's not going to invade your privacy. It is going to be totally obnoxious. Has anybody here ever talked to anybody wearing Glass? Did you find it annoying? It drove me mad, right? Especially, this is what's really annoying. It's a prism, motherfucker. It's not a screen. Like, I can see when you're like, oh, like, I can see that shit is going by. I know that you are not listening to me right now. Like, so there was this really creative guy that on the flight tried to take a piece of duct tape and put it on the back. And it was like, okay, well, now everybody knows you're not paying attention to them. So it's an interesting paradigm. And I want to open it up to questions now. And I'll answer whatever questions, development questions, market questions about competitors that are coming out. It's completely open because I want it to be as useful as possible. But I wanted to make sure that we have a realistic view of what the technology is and where it's going and what it's doing. Go ahead. So what kind of, the question, that's a great question. What kind of client applications are clients asking for? They're not. So Glass, so Google bought Motorola, all right, and part of what they bought with Motorola, part of what they didn't buy and they spun back out, but they got some weird rights to, is some technology by a company called Copeland, all right, and they're in Sweden, I think, and they made the Motorola GoldenEye. Do you guys remember that? It's crazy. It, like, wraps around your head and has a big screen, and it works the same way. And in doing that, the idea behind the GoldenEye was you're going to have this everywhere you have a service technician. So some idiot VC, all due respect to anybody in that industry, I don't know why you guys do that, they funded them. And I was just like, whoa. So service technicians? So like the guy that comes out from Time Warner Cable that really can't even crimp the wire and things are, that guy? You're going to put like $4,000 or $5,000 of technology on his head. It's going to fall like into the truck and have like a Whataburger on it or whatever. It just seemed bad. It's not that those guys are bad. I love that they make my cable work as shittily as it does. But the fact is that that's not an environment you put that technology in. And so they lost the service market and they said, we're going to go to the military market. And it's like, do you know how ruggedized things have to be in the field for the military? Like to tie into a battlefield command system? Lockheed Martin isn't making billions of dollars for nothing. That shit's expensive. It has to be really small and really light and not break and have batteries that last forever. Oh, batteries. Damn it. I didn't put a slide on batteries. That's because there is no battery life. So that thing goes dead in like that. How many of you have an Android phone? How many of you have, and by the way, questions about battery. Like how many of you are not happy with the battery life of your Android phone? Pretty much everybody, right? I have bad news. How many of you use an iPhone? How many of you run an iOS 7? I have really bad news. It works just like an Android phone. It's like an animated background and all of the same features. In fact, I saw iOS 7 and I tweeted out, and then somebody Apple called me and they were mad. But I was like, I love my new Android. I mean, iOS 7 phone, because they pretty much just copied it. It's like all flat design. But the battery life is a problem and things like that. So what are customers asking for? Honestly, they're not. Okay? What they're asking for is this. If you're a developer and you have some glass units in your lab or one of your guys running or whatever, and you bring a customer in, right now it's still a little bit of a differentiation, right? You can say, oh, we're ahead of the curve. Like Google put it in this program. Check this out. And they'll put it on and they'll try it, okay? 1 out of 15 approximately customers will throw up. That's because they're prone to motion sickness. So before you give your glass to anybody, you should say, hey, you don't have motion sickness or anything, do you? You get like a little queasy on chips or whatever, no roller coasters. You shouldn't look at this, right? Because they'll be looking at it, and the first thing they'll do is they'll pull up a map and they'll be like, this is amazing. And they'll be like, and I had that happen. It was horrible. And it's really embarrassing. And then your customer doesn't want to talk about anything. They just want to leave because they're embarrassed. But what kind of apps could be done? That's limited. Informational apps can't be done. In that first Google Vision video, there was all this data, right? Like the one I like is all the stuff that is completely not even theoretically possible because of retailers. And I mean, I didn't even know bookstores were still in business. I was like, why is the guy in a bookstore? Like he time traveled with glass. But it put that map up. It's like the book's located right over here. Fat chance. Even if you had a system to categorize inventory like that, some person that works at the bookstore for $4 an hour is going to move that shit somewhere else anyway, right? But so informational things are out. Here's what I think it'll be used for the most. I think it'll be used for boop, boop, boop. You got a call, which, by the way, my phone vibrates. Okay, I've got a solution for that. It also could be used for like, the temperature. I love when they show the temperature in some of the other videos when people are outside. And I'm like, wait a second. Did you really just ask what temperature? You're like, shit, it is hot. Let me find out what temperature it is. Oh, yep, it is hot. What the fuck? So that's a problem. And so you start looking at the limitations. Now here's the thing that it does really, really pretty well. Video and photos. It's convenient to not take your phone out of your pocket and but here's a problem. She knows you're taking a photo of her. You're like, okay, glass, take a photo. So it's a bad photo interface. And those videos, when I first saw them come out, I was like, I do that with the GoPro on a skateboard helmet all the time. It connects to the internet. That's awesome. Connecting it to your phone to the internet right now drains battery pretty bad, but it connects to the internet and that's good. So you have this information, but you already have that. And I'm trying to balance it here. I'm not slamming it. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing what they're doing. Okay. And that's not acquiescing to Google. Do I have problems with it? Yes. I'm interested in the market after it, right? I'm not interested in the iPhone / Google Glass. I'm interested in the Android / whatever is like $79 wearable computing that everybody actually ends up having, right? So this is something to pay attention to. But it's what kind of apps? Everything I just named and also ran. What's a new unique app you could do with that? Okay, you could do a game, right? You could do some sort of augmented reality game, but then your clues are really small. There's not a lot of, data. So I think it's limited in its function right now. Now, if you look at some of the other projects, like if you watch the Aether videos, theirs is a whole set of glasses and it's stereoscopic. And that thing, it doesn't work for everyone, but it's made to give you the illusion that there's an interface in front of you, and they have like a Connect system backwards. So you can actually touch buttons. You can be like, ooh, activate this feature. And that's kind of cool because it's the palette, right? The palette on theirs. I mean, how many of you guys, when you went from developing for web, developing for phone, were like, shit, this screen is small, right? It's just, now it's that even smaller. Other questions, though? It was like an app rant. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about earlier, the Thalmic Labs. No, the Thalmic Labs will tie into almost anything, and that's what's great about it. So the Thalmic Labs, again, this armband that I'm somewhat fascinated with right now, what it does is the Thalmic Labs goes around your arm about here on your bicep, and it can tell certain muscle movements. And so you can coordinate and program those muscle movements for, like, if I do this, that's a snap. I want to move pages on my presentation. Or if I, move my arm like this, I want to do, they hooked it to a quadricopter so the guy can actually take his hand and this is the pitch and yaw and everything, and he can raise it up and lower it and fly it. And it's that is a super, super cool interface that, again, it's about a 1/2 inch thick. All right. If it was like those iPhone elastic bands, that you put when you go jogging, you put your iPhone in. If it was an elastic band like that, I would be super, super excited about that. Because then you could wear it over your shirt and you guys think I was magic. I'd be like slides and change stuff and people are like, what the fuck? It's maybe 18 months out. I think they'll do it in a year. I met those guys. They're incredibly smart. And I have no affiliation with them or Google or any of these. I am a technology arms dealer. So if somebody has cool technology, somebody wants to do something cool with it, like, I will build that for them. It's an incredibly simple business model. But the Thalmic Labs guys are good. Things like the Leap Motion, things like Thalmic Labs, all of these things are going to be pushed in the next year. How many of you use Leap Motion? None of you. I'm shocked. So Leap Motion has a little device that plugs in USB. It'd be much cooler if it were not having to be plugged into anything. It goes in the bottom of your laptop. Asus is setting them in, and it basically is like a Kinect that goes this way, except pointing up. And so right here, if I move my hand, I can move the mouse around the screen and do things and play games. It's a really cool interface. The problem with Leap is way back in the day when Steve Jobs was asked if he was going to build a computer that had a touch screen, he was like, no. And the reporter was like, whoa, like, don't get all, angry with me. Like, why not? And he was like, because this is a stupid interface, right? And what he meant to say was, because you won't do this interface for more than 5 minutes. And then you're like, my arm is getting heavy. Like, if you don't believe me, this is when we're testing customers who want Leap, and we'll still do projects. We're like, just before you do it, we have a little test. Just hold your arm out for like 7 minutes. That's all I want you to do. Don't even move it. Just focus on holding it, right? And it's like, people are like, that's exhausting. You're like, right, you're about to ask your users to only do that to interact with your software. And it's not bad. I love the Leap too. We're in the infancy of the wearable computing and the gesture computing coming in. And that means stuff is going to suck. Get used to it. You had a Motorola StarTAC phone, some of you, at one point. And you thought it was the greatest piece of technology ever invented. All right? That's what happens. So we're in this evolution. And so, the Thalmic Lab stuff, they did just get some more funding. They will get it down in size. It's going to be a really, really cool thing. I think that has more potential than glass. I think the alleged Apple Watch, there's no watch. Just to clear that rumor up, that would be awesome. Pebble, not so much. So how many of you helped Pebble on Kickstarter? There's be somebody in the room. None of you? Yeah. How many of you, you're not wearing a Pebble? You're wearing like a regular watch. Oh, because it like tells time. You like look at it. It works, right? Yeah. Okay. It's awesome. It also doesn't do things like my co-founder gave me a watch that's called, it's not the Pebble, but it's one of those. He's like, hey, I was thinking of you. Look what I got you. I saw it on Kickstarter. I got it for you. And I was thinking, Ben didn't give me this watch. That's bullshit. I was like, why not? And then I took it out. And I was like, well, it's kind of already opened. And I put it on. And I was trying to use it. And it was annoying. And I was like, Ben got this watch and thought he'd be cool. And it wasn't cool. And they gave it to me. That's what happened. And he's like, no, I didn't do that. And I was just like, all right, whatever. But, this is an infancy. Other questions? This is an infancy thing. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. 1 second. You missed this guy. Because you're right. Hang on, because you're right. Because if you watch, that's exactly what he's doing, right? He has a little... I think you could grow a ponytail if you wanted. Nobody's judging. But the... Yeah, sure. And in fairness, all things suck right now, right? Some people prefer things that suck. I don't know. It's weird. Exactly. I know, but you're 100% right. And for those of you who couldn't hear him, he's compared it to home automation. He's like, this is, people think it's cool and they don't even know why. And that's exactly why I want to give a very realistic overview of it, because it's like home automation's been around forever. And then Nest came along and all they did was get it right. And people are like, amazing. How many of you have a Nest? Should all run out and buy a Nest today as fast as possible. That is a product I will endorse. That thing has saved me so much money on my energy bill, and it's amazing. I have 3 of them in my house all networked together. It's like I can adjust the temperature from here. Okay, well, that's not magic. What's magic is that like after 3 or 4 days, it learns how I've adjusted the temperature, and it knows what the temperature is outside, and it just does it all for me. I haven't touched that Nest since I installed them, right? It's amazing. But that's the thing. The point is that don't get disillusioned with what it is and keep realistic. But to your point on the thalamic labs tying into the glass, something like that. And we're working on something similar, okay? It's not, it's still not the best of interfaces, right? Because we're trying to merge this technology is close to us as possible. And, we had, luggables, and then we had laptops, and then we had, the notebooks and the phone, the phones and the tablets. And we're trying to get it closer and closer. And what's the goal? The goal is convenience, right? It's only convenient if it works, right? Whether it's cording or a hand signal or talking to it or swiping, it's only convenient if it's not like, oh, and let me tell you the biggest problem glass will have. There's 2 of them. One of them is called AT&T, and the other one is called Verizon. Because there'll be a million areas you'll be in where you'll be like, don't worry, I've got this. And you'll be like, shit. Hang on, it's loading. It's just I got one glass bar. It's connected to my phone. Just spin it. It's still not loaded. Anyway, and let me tell you what you should do when you're looking for directions. You should go, hey, excuse me, are you from around here? Do you know where this fucking place is? You do? It's a block over there? Because that's what I did when we were in London with the glass guy. Because he was there and he had no signal, and he's like, whoa. Got this. That's exactly what he said, verbatim. And I was just like, here comes a disaster. And I was waiting for it like some sort of shark. I was like, don't get too anxious. Let it load. And he was just like, it's having and then he did this. And he kind of stepped over closer to the street, like he had some magic way of telling if there's more cell service over there. And he's looking around, he's waiting on the instructions, he's waiting, he's like, they're not coming up. And these girls were walking down the street. I was like, excuse me, we're looking for this pub. And they're like, oh yeah, go down 2 blocks and then it's turn left. It's about a block down on your left. And I was like, thanks. And he was like, oh, here's the address. Technology has to be useful. It has to work for you. It has to make your life easier. It doesn't have to encumber you with bad interfaces or gestures, or make your arm tired or blast your eyeballs out, right? I mean, it's a prism, not a screen for a reason. Because if you put a screen that close to your eye, in about 2 years, you'd be like, I don't know, I've got like 25. It'd be horrible. You'd be like, oh, I'm a -7. Go ahead. It was no it was no Wi-Fi on the flight. It was weird that people were wearing glass, and I asked them. One of the flight attendants asked me, and they're like, "What are they doing?" And I was just like, "Nothing." But they're under the impression they look cool right now, because everybody else was we were just using markers and big Post-it notes and stuff, right? And these guys were running around glass and they're looking at it and they're like, okay, that looks good. And every once in a while, somebody, like I said, we'd run by and we'd be like, okay, glass, take a picture. We're like, that's useful. You know how many glass pictures there were of that trip? Almost none. I was like, what the fuck? That's the only function you could have used it for. Why were you wearing it? The only thing you could have done was recorded a video or a picture. But yeah, the flight was no Wi-Fi. Because if you're going to put 100 technologists on a plane and have them try to solve world problems, cutting off their access to technologies, step 1, clearly. Yeah. They were horrible. What was the first question, number one? I did not wear a wig. That's a great question, though, because there were people there with wigs. So that was awkward. It's like, wow, hi, it's great to meet you. Like, is it? But it's so I did not wear a wig. I did wear a tie, which is very unusual, and I had a pocket square, which is also really unusual, because I had to go buy one because they were like, "Where's your pocket square?" And I was like, what the fuck? But the second question, there were no good cocktails anywhere. I didn't drink the whole trip. They had beer everywhere and wine. That's it, which is not cool. I specifically said, if Queen Elizabeth is going to have us received at the House of Lords, we need some tequila or some rum. Apparently, nobody got that message. And that's okay. That's cool. I'm not going back. Also, they gave us British Airways Gold status because my team won, which is amazing. And I was just like, I can't actually use that to go anywhere. that's like having a, like Emirates, super first class, get everything you want. It's like not really going to Dubai anytime soon. I mean, it was a nice thought. I can be like, yeah, I got gold status, but I can use the lounges. And it's like, I don't know that there's any British Airways lounges in any airports I go to. What was your question, sir? No, they didn't. They were running around looking like glass holes. Which, by the way, as soon as somebody said that online, this reporter made that term, I went to like hover in seconds, and I tried to get every domain I could. I was like, that is genius. And apparently so did 800 million other people, because it's like those domains were gone in like a flash of an eye. But this is the thing. It's just, we're talking about something a little bigger than glass, but it's being responsible with the technology you create and the apps you create for other people. And it comes back to first rule of app development. I tell all new app developers, I say, do you use it? And they're like, oh, it's super cool. I say, do you use it every day? Well, no, I made it. Okay, right, but you made something you don't use, yet you're expecting everyone else to pay you money and use it every day, right? Is that how that works? It's about just being, reasonable with the expectations. Google's done an amazing PR job on Glass. It is phenomenal. And thanks to it, a bunch of other things that I think are really, really cool are getting funded. So kudos to them for kind of helping usher in this wearable computing thing, which, by the way, looks a lot like cloud computing. Also in the 90s, there was on-demand computing and grid and utility and all of that. And I worked with that at IBM. And then some marketing person saw that cloud and was like, you should call it cloud computing. And everybody's like, oh my God, it's a completely new paradigm. No, it's still a server in another room. You just don't own it. There's new magic technology. People are like, it uses Ruby on Rails. So did Banks. Banks used Ruby when I worked at IBM in 1997 in Japan. It's like the COBOL of Japan. It's like, that's like it's got COBOL that's cool. Like, who cares? So you just have to have a realistic perspective. A lot of these technologies and a lot of these ideas and things aren't new, And when you allow them to be new and you allow them to be mysterious, you develop bad shit that's poorly designed, right? You just have to look at it realistically. Other questions? 3 guys had questions and 2 of them are about going to London? And thank you, by the way, for paying attention to Twitter. I'm pretty convinced that just goes off into nowhere. Because I have a friend who has like 1,000 friends, and he puts something out and 1,000 people reply. And there's like 60,000. I put something out and like one person's like, yeah, whatever. Good luck. It's got to be a glass question. Okay. A wearable computing question is fine. Sure. I think that's a great question. The question, just to repeat it, is we're talking about making apps. If you're a web developer, how do you make apps for this? How do you take your website, right, and those functions and make it work in such a small space? And the answer is really hard. But I have a question that precedes that, which is, do you need to? Right? And that's a question none of us ever ask in designing, whether it be web or apps or wearables or whatever. A lot of times we do stuff because it's cool. That's why nobody uses it, because it's cool and it's faddish and it doesn't catch on. Does it have a purpose? Right? So if my website is Google Maps, I can see integrating that. And it's difficult, but I could put big arrows and say, turn here and go straight, and I could give audio cues, right? And because don't forget, don't just think of the screen. There's the audio too, and I could say like turn. It could be just like your annoying GPS in your car, where it's like boop, your turn's coming up, and it's like boop, you're at your turn. It's like boop, you missed your turn, recalculating. Boop, there's another turn, you missed it too, right? It's just like the same thing up here. But the thing is do you need to? Not all things are suitable for apps on the phone. We tell that to our customers all the time. Not all things are going to be suitable for glass. But some websites, directions, that's great. If you can make it work, they do have a video function that you can play videos that work good. So things where I'm repairing something or instructional things, like if you were a do-it-yourself website, I could see having a really cool potential, glass thing where it's like it's up here and I'm looking at it for reference and I'm working on something, right? Sounds exactly like the Motorola plan. But that could work. No other questions? Everybody from here over is like asleep. Yep. Yep, 1989. So he's talking about VR helmets. So you guys remember that, like in Lawnmower Man? Those big helmets? Hint, that screen's out there for a reason. It's because you can focus out there. And he talked about 1% of the people having their vision screwed up. Look, things like this are going to fuck people's vision up. There's no doubt. I've just bought mass amount of stocks in optometrists and optometry schools and everything because I see this one coming. There's two things I'm investing in. People who are going to fix your eyes and charge you a lot of money, and people who are going to give kids who listen to too much bass hearing aids because they've lost their whole lower register of hearing. Good investments. I'm pretty sure it's going to work out for me. Every time I'm on the street, I hear like, and it sounds like that. It never sounds good. It's always like that car is rattling apart. I'm like, thank you. You're going to make me rich. But yeah, the VR helmets did screw up, and it was a little more 1%. I don't remember accurately, but I think it's somewhere between 3 and 7% of people who use these VR helmets for extended hours, then they would take them off, and it's just like spinning around and getting dizzy, or if you're on a long transatlantic flight and you're sleeping, and you wake up and your body's still like, not adjusted, or your arms asleep. It's kind of the same kind of principles. And so with those big helmets, every once in a while, people would have actual, damage to their visual perception because of the fact that they've been looking at this thing for so many hours straight. And that's why they used to say on the side, don't use an excessive X amount of time. Because I use those. They're horrible. They're like wearing a TV monitor on your head. But this thing, I think this will eventually, I think you'll see things like glass and even the Ether thing, which I'm a huge fan of both of them for different reasons. I think one of the things that they'll face is, do they need FDA approval or not? Will there be people who, there's already so many ridiculous laws and stuff around drones and glass and everything new and cool that, I can totally see somebody saying, oh, you can't use glass unless you're, 21 because your eyes haven't fully developed or whatever bullshit some senator, congressman will think of and pass. It could looking up at that screen screw up your vision? Sure, absolutely. Either that or just one of your eyes will just naturally float right up there. So it's okay because I'm still looking at you, but it's just kind of like I can do two of those things at once. ATHEER. And if you Google them, they recently gave a demo. And let me tell you, when you see their stuff, it doesn't look as sexy as glass from the outside because they haven't launched their product yet. But if you look at it from the inside, it is like, that's badass. Like it's cool because you can just reach out and be like, touching the interfaces and stuff. It's pretty happening stuff. You had another question? You had lifted. See, those are all good questions. Are you supposed to drive after wearing glass? Does it take your eyes time to adjust? I think what they're hoping is you're wearing it all the time and your eyes adjust to it. I wore it for a little bit, and I'll just be honest, wasn't blown away. It's awesome. It's great technology. It looked really cool. That will get you a question. But it's like, it's not, I could not see wearing it every day. I'm working on projects. Hint, I didn't bring anything to wear with me. Again, because whenever I leave, it's like, this goes back in the secret box, okay? Come back when you want to see it. Yes, sir. Did you have a question? That's a great question. Great question. What is GlassRay's privacy and security concern-wise? Security-wise, there was that story that came out that said hackers can watch everywhere you're at via for what? The 10 minutes the battery lasts? Great. Oh, he's driving. He just got to an event. There's a lot of people in we lost the signal. Like, who cares? It doesn't really actually work that way, okay? That's the equivalent of people who are like, and you see them at the Apple store all the time. They put that little piece of tape over the camera on the monitor, and you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, oh, they think people can see them through there all the time. And just so you know, I can. I absolutely can. So security concerns. Here's a security concern I have with Glass. You have a new app. This gentleman over here designs a banking website, and then he designs an awesome banking Glass app. And it's the same security concern I have when you call into those numbers, and they're like, please say or enter your digits. And people are lazy, and they're like, 47563, and there's some guy at the coffee store next to him going like, wait, gotta get social 372814265. It's like, so the security concerns are, don't be an idiot if you're wearing glass. The privacy concerns, though, are huge because there's nothing on the front of it currently that tells you that I'm taking a picture of you or that I'm taking a video of you. So I could, and by the way, anybody who's smart and wants to do sneaky shit like that, here's what they do. They're like, okay, Glass, take a video. And they walk all the way over to you, and they just walk up to you innocently, and they're acting like nothing. It's cool. So if anybody's ever Glass and you want to see if they're filming you, just ask them this, because I knew that guy on the flight was filming me. And so I was like, that is cool. He goes, yeah. He goes, what are the privacy concerns? And I was like, it's amazing. I was like, ooh, can I see it? And he's like, oh, hang on, I was in something, and it's like, also, it's a fucking prism. I can see the fucking video of myself through the prism. I'm not blind. I'm watching you record me. He's like, how did you know? I don't know. It's clear, and it's got a picture of me above your eyeball. So, so privacy is, again, comes back to some common sense. Airports, bars are already knocking them off the list. Events are knocking them off the list. Airports are knocking them off the list. So right now, you could wear, I would imagine that any conference that you pay money for, and by the way, kudos to Todd and everybody that put together this event and got everybody in for free and all, because that's amazing, and that's how I think events should be, and hopefully it's useful. Yeah, give them a round of applause. Don't just woo. That's awesome. They're eventually the events that charge money for. Like, I just spoke at Bloomberg, and there was a guy with Glass, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, could you just? Yeah, we're just gonna leave that outside. Thank you. Thanks." Like, $3,000 ticket. You're not filming shit. Okay. Put it in your fucking bag. Okay. So there's a limited place on where to use them. I guarantee you, in Texas, Glass will be outlawed and then followed nationwide for driving 3 months after it's out. 3 to 6 months, max. Legislators will be like, oh, this is horrible. Unless you want to invade your privacy and let the insurance company record everywhere you're driving, so that when you get in a wreck and you call them, it could be, hang on, let's review that footage. Whoa, what are you thinking? We're not paying for that. Right? So, all right, we're literally have 30 seconds. We can have one more quick question if you want. All right, we'll do 2. You. Business models for doing glass. No business model for doing glass. You guys are designers. You have a business model. You're developers. You have a business model. Don't change it for some stupid new piece of technology. Quick.
So I was going to say, real quick, in terms of practical application.
You have 6 seconds.
Doing development, and
If you don't have Google Glass, it's awesome. You can go, there's plenty of stuff. You can come to Glass Dev Camp. It's going to be happening in about a month. You can, glassdevcamp.org, you can sign up. You can also, there are plenty of groups on Google Plus where they're discussing development and people are like sharing stuff, and you can view the Mirror API. There's actually some guys who came out with, there's like 4 tools people have come out with that you can like see what it might look like through there. So there's plenty of opportunity to start thinking about Glass even if you don't have it. And by the way, you don't want the edition they have now. It's called the Explorer Edition for a reason. The next thing is going to be way, way better. And then the people wearing that are the people you're probably going to actually want to talk to because they're not glass holes. Thank you very much.